Now I'd quickly like to move to the first panel discussion, and I would like to invite the moderators for the discussion on the stage, as well as the discussants. Please head to the stage. Thank you very much.
Hello. Right, great. This is the next session, of course. It's going to be a discussion session on integrating ICT in education in Bangladesh. My name is Andy Jones, and I'm the Senior Training Consultant for British Council in Bangladesh. And my colleague, Dr. Sharmistha from English in Action, she's the Education Advisor, will also be moderating this session. As I said, it's about the integration of ICT in education in Bangladesh, and we're very happy that we have a mixture of both public and private initiatives. I think Mr. Chowdhury referred to this in his speech, the importance that we have a mixed approach. We're going to be finding out from the leading organizations that are represented here something about their work in the ICT field, some of the key learning points, and some of the main challenges that they've been facing. That will then be the basis of our discussion, and we will also ensure that you are able to ask questions to the participants here.
Right. Let me also welcome you by saying that we're delighted to have a number of distinguished guests in the panel who not only have worked in education for a long time, but also today they're representing, as my colleague Andy mentioned, organizations who are working both in the private and public sector, trying to combine ICT in education as an aid, not as technology for technology's sake, just as our previous presenter mentioned. So keeping that focus in mind, and also the policy guideline, if we want to take it from the keynote speech this morning, very much a focus on collaborative effort between public and private initiatives. Let's see how we can get somewhere which benefits the need that exists in the context, and also provides good value for money, because ICT, investment in ICT is expensive. So I'm looking forward to learning. I'm sure the audience is also looking forward to learning from you just now from this discussion. Without further delay, shall we quickly start, introduce ourselves and just mention your name, where you're from? That'd be great. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Munaf Moin. I'm the CEO of Core Knowledge, We are an education services provider focused on bringing technology solutions for the education space. I'll elaborate further as we move along.
Hello, I am Zahir Bin-Siddique. I am from English in Action.
Hello, my name is Ananya Raihan. I work for DNET, and DNET is a social enterprise working for the marginalized community, and sector-wise we work in education and healthcare more prominently than in other areas.
Good afternoon, I'm Ruxana, working in Save the Children as the Manager Research and Development. Actually, our advisor Rahman was supposed to attend the session, but in the morning he became sick, so I'm here.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ashiqur. I'm working as a Project Manager Education in British Council.
Good afternoon. I'm Azad, Project Director, ICT in Education Project. In fact, my project is responsible to introduce multimedia classroom in 20,500 school college Madrasa. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. I am Parvin. I'm working at A2I Private School as e-learning specialist.
Okay. Andy's nodding at me, so I better start from this corner. Shall we go straight to requesting you to ask, just to share what you're doing, as Andy mentioned before, what you're doing in terms of combining ICT in your education initiatives, keeping in mind we would also like to hear some of your impact on findings so far, and also the challenges and how you are thinking about it. Shall we start?
Do you want to start? We'll start with the...
Okay, yeah.
And then we'll go from there. It's fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine with us.
Me.
Please, yes.
Oh, I have a presentation, but if you, but he said I haven't.
You'd like to
I'm not
present?
allowed to go for more than 4 minutes.
We're going to be...
Very, very tough for me to present on, but at morning session, which I Chaudhary maybe have to I was not here.
No, I think for sure we can be flexible. We're being provided with a lot of food for thought. Of course, we do have some real food as well, a little bit later. So we cannot go on for too long. But please, sir, in your own time, and if we need to interrupt you, please do not be offended. We do need to go through the rest of the discussion. But please, if you would like to.
Yes, thank you very much. If I allow, I will go for a quick presentation.
Faruque, a little louder, please.
Oh, little louder.
Yes, sir.
While Faruque Bhai is setting that up, we could also mention that we, obviously this is a discussion, so there will be question and answer going on. After each presenter, we will try to generate some kind of a discussion, but also in the end as a summary. And we hope to engage the audience as well.
Can we listen
Yes.
to somebody else?
Yeah, that would be great if it is okay with Faruque Bhai.
Yes, is anybody
Yeah,
would
maybe
like
I
to
can
just
I can
explain
start.
now
Yeah,
what they are doing? Yeah.
Sure. Let me share with you what DNET is doing. So basically, when we talk about integrating ICT in education, so we take both formal and informal education. So when you say formal education, it's like we work with secondary schools and primarily with teachers. So we'll come back to that. But in informal segment, we work with rural women who are educated up to a certain level, and then we try to make them entrepreneurs, and they work with the preschool children in the rural context to provide, inspire them to go to school. The entrepreneur named InfoLady, probably you know, many of you actually know. And also in healthcare, we work with pregnant and new mothers. Basically, we provide health education or health communication for behavioral change. And you'll be happy to know that we are reaching 1 million clients this month. It's the largest nationwide health program in the world. But the most important part is that we try to change behavior through mobile technology. Like BBC Media Action is in English and it is in maternal health care. Probably I'll stop here. Faruque is ready.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and to allow me to go for a presentation. And I will go. When we have started our works upon on ICT in education and technology, but I will show the 3 myths. I don't know. At morning, you already did it. In that case, I will go faster. And why our government has taken strategic priority to go on multimedia classroom? Because at present we have 125,000 schools, and every year we deal 35 million students. So, if we go for established computer lab at every schools, it needs 18,000 crore taka, huge amount. It is not possible from our government to invest this amount. And also, Tom Power already in his presentation, he said at Peru and Uruguay and like other country, they had gone on OLPC, and almost, I will not say these are not failed projects, but the return is not so good at Peru and Uruguay too. OLPC project, even one MIT professor, he has taken a project at Ethiopia. He provided, he challenged, and he will get lots of programmers by investing upon his amount. He also failed. So investment in technology is not a solution for teaching learning process. Tom already raised a very nice thing. Face-to-face education, when we go for face-to-face education, use of technology is a very, very challenging one. Yet, at Western world, when they go for classroom practice, they try to provide 2 or 3 laptops at every classroom. If the teacher assign any group work and like others, and teachers are allowed to go to collect information by using those laptop. But at developing countries, they are not using this. Especially the e-pedagogy is not taken a nice shape. But nobody can say this is the good model for every country or developed country or a developing country, because accessibility issue and internet accessibility issue and other things is a very vital issue. If you go for use of technology in classroom practice, it is very, very, very challenging. So our government has taken a first priority to develop one multimedia classroom at every schools, and second phase will immediately Ministry of Education is going to go for second phase, and Ministry of Education will try to provide 3 to 5 multimedia classroom at every schools, and at third phase we will go for computer and language lab. But why the multimedia classroom? I'll go in quick integration of ICT and pedagogy. But if we want to know the students' level of experience at the beginning of the class, but if we use a multimedia presentation, then we can understand easily the level of experience of the learners. And teacher-student interaction is very easy if we use that multimedia projector. And if we provide some videos or animation or image, and it is the inquisitiveness of the learners will increase automatically. An answer and questioning session, easily teacher can conduct it very easily, the answer and questioning session at classroom practice. Group, pair and individual.
Excuse me, sir. If we could interrupt you there,
yeah.
I'm sure we will be coming back to some of the points that the very salient points that you're making. I think it would be great now if we bring in other members. You've mentioned, for example, the challenges of cost effectiveness, and also the pedagogical support. Now, I'm sure we also are experiencing these kinds of challenges, and I think it would be timely now if we hear from some other projects the kind of challenges that you are facing, and we will be able to bring this in at the end.
I'll finish it now.
So sorry
after showing this teacher-led, our challenges, teacher-led content. Who will provide this content at classroom practice? Our idea is teacher will develop the content, and now I'll stop it. Then if anybody asks any question, then
sure, we will definitely return.
Those
very stimulating points. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure that others will have questions as well. I definitely have one, so we'll get back to you, definitely. Please. Can we go to the next one? Andy, I think while that is being set up like last time, let's hear from someone else here on the panel, and we'll finish this and then we'll move forward if that is okay. Okay. Shall we hear from me?
I'll go.
Yeah?
Okay. I may be the only one here who is with a private organization as such, and I'm making it clear because we are not running a project or an initiative as such. We are purely a service provider, right?
Service provider.
So, are you ready?
No, but let's finish this if you don't mind. Let's just finish this and then we'll move on.
So, go ahead.
Yeah.
So we essentially, our focus is to bring in holistic technology solutions that can address technology usage in the classroom. So we are doing it in two ways. And again, I'll go into further discussion of further detail. We are looking at hardware innovation in the classroom. We're looking at content and software solutions that would help teachers adopt technology-supported teaching and learning, right? We introduced a solution called DigiClass about 3 years back, which brought in interactive whiteboards or smart boards at one level. We also brought in something called a teaching management system. The thing that we want to do as a service provider was to see how we can innovate in the classroom, right? We talk about technology. Of course, we understand why technology. We have heard Anir mention it. We have heard other people mention it as well. And the way we wanted to approach it was from a holistic perspective. So hardware requirements in the classroom, address that. Software, content that a teacher would need. And most importantly, the training and support that goes with it, right? So I'll come back to what we have found. I'll let Mr. Azad go ahead and speak. So that's what we're doing today.
Okay, thank you.
Distinguished guest, academician, educationist, and participant. Assalamu alaikum. I will discuss about, according to the layout distributed to us or mailed to me, my project ICT for Education Secondary and Higher Secondary Level project. You know that government has introduced multimedia classroom in 20,500 schools, college, and madrasa. I will not elaborately describe the objectives of the project. I will only say that main objectives, making complex and abstract contents lucid and understandable to the students. This is the main objectives of our project, and make the classroom joyful. And for achieving these objectives, what actually we did? Actually, we supported 20,500 institutions with hardware support. That is, we supplied laptop, multimedia projector, internet modem with SIM and speaker, and we trained 20,500 teachers, classroom teachers, on how to develop digital content and how to conduct multimedia classroom. You see that what kind of instruments and ICT equipments we distributed to our institutions. I mean 20,500 school, college, and madrasa. Here you see that our expected outcome. In fact, we do not have any evaluation study or impact study on our project, but we visited and monitored more than 300 schools from our project, and other agencies like A2I, DC, Ministry. They also visited. They also monitored more than 500 school and college and madrasas. And what's the experience of our monitoring and mentoring? What actually we saw? All students love multimedia classroom. It's very easy to say, but our experience, what we actually see that average 5 to 6 classes in a week are conducted by using ICT equipments. But what should be more than 36? But what's the reason? One of the reason, actually, Anit Chaudhary, keynote presenter already mentioned, and other speaker mentioned that power supply is a major problem. Because of interruption of power supply, sometimes teachers they feel that is it possible to conduct multimedia classroom? Just they are conducting multimedia classroom, suddenly they experience shortage of power. This is the main problem. And another problem we found that in security of ICT equipments, they are keeping ICT equipments, I mean laptop, multimedia projector in school premises, but they don't feel that they think that is it secured for them to keep it in the school or college or madrasa, because already hundreds of ICT equipments are already stolen. This is our experience. And another is that our classroom is not, in fact, fit for multimedia classroom, most of the classroom. And we are working for that, how to make the classroom suitable for multimedia classroom. These are our experience. And inadequate internet facility and low speed. Because of low internet speed, because of internet facility, it's damaged teacher speed. Some teachers we found that they are very much energetic, they are very much enthusiastic to implement multimedia classroom, to develop digital content. But they are sometimes frustrated when they found that they have to wait more than 1 hour to download something or to upload something.
Okay, thank you. Can we?
These are our experience, and so so we think that some challenges we have already found. That one is that we should in fact need to localization of resource and training. Everything should not be supported by the government. I think private public partnership or private initiatives should come forward to implement such issues. And another is that we found that repair, maintenance, replacement ICT equipments. Some schools, some colleges, we found that ICT equipment does not work, but how to repair, how to maintain, how to replace, it's a big question for us. And another is that teachers are, they have some fear that, so it's very important to remove the fear of teachers for using ICT technology. They feel some problem when they want to use ICT equipments. So it's a very large issue for us, and it's a very challenges to us that how to manage large number of institutions. You know that 20,500, but if we think about more than 1 lakh, then it's a large number of institutions. How to monitor? So it's very important to establish the local monitoring cell, local monitoring mechanism. It's very important.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll stop you there. Again, some very key points coming up, I feel. The students' buy-in to technology is fantastic. That really important word, motivation. And you are giving evidence there in your project that there is a lot of motivation, but we have infrastructure challenges. We have sometimes the challenges of the teachers themselves maybe adopting the technology, maybe not so much the students. Interesting stuff. Thank you. We will return to some of those.
Our students so that they can use ICT equipment.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think we will be returning again to that.
The way it's pointing towards teachers' development, teachers' own development of their own knowledge, not only the ICT skill, but how to use ICT in different teacher development programs. And we do know some of the people sitting here are actually doing exactly that. And one of them is Save the Children. Here, could we request you to share a little bit about what you're doing?
Thank you. Actually, it's almost 5 years that Save the Children has been working on ICT in education. So it was not a big project. From the very beginning, we operated as a kind of, it's an operations research kind of thing that there were 3 major areas that we tried to focus. One is how ICT is actually, what is the effect on students' engagement in learning, how actually ICT is making a difference in the classroom teaching learning process. And third one is how actually if we want to scale it up at the national level, what should be the, what are the factors actually need to be considered. So these are the major areas. So in that point of view, we started the project. And over the years actually, it was a small project, but over the years actually at the national system we have made quite a big contribution. Like we started making partnership with the government, and right now we are basically working on 4 major areas. One is teachers' professional development, and Save the Children is the first organization that actually started teacher-led content development, and it happened because of the keynote speaker we had today, that Ani Chaudhary. It was his inspiration that why don't we try in the primary with the primary teachers that whether it works or not for the content development. And it was the first 2 batches of training was very successful, and teachers are doing now very well. So from that point, actually, we shared with DP and then Directorate of Primary Education. We had a couple of meetings sharing with them, and now this teacher-led content development training for the primary school teachers at the national level. And almost 4,000 teachers have been trained by the government. So our focus is on multimedia classroom. We started the project with Intel classmate PCs, but we found that there are like 80,000 schools. So if we go for students' own laptop, then that will be difficult to replicate. So we moved to multimedia classroom, and that's the focus in the ICT policy and at the national level also. We are also working on the data management, like data for decisions. We found while working in the schools, our project is in Meherpur and in Kaliakur, we are working. We found that actually teachers and the head teachers actually spend a lot of time on collecting data from the school, collecting information. They take loads of information, but actually they are not using it they keep it in the register. So we try to make a mechanism that how we can make a students' performance management system or data management system that the students or the SMC and head teachers can use the data for their school improvement plan. So we started offline version, and now with the government, that students' performance management system is now introduced as the e-primary school system at the national level. We are also working on the school monitoring system with the Directorate of Primary Education, and actually it's very interesting. I could share with you that what is basically happening in the M&E section, but the positive thing is the director training of DP and the whole team actually very supportive. They actually helped us to make a web-based system. So we are working on that how we can from the central level to grassroots level, how we can see the monitoring indicators findings. And the last thing I would like to say that I wanted to show you the content, but these are the contents we are developing. These are based on our national textbook. We are working on that. We have covered class 4 and 5. It's particularly actually focused on multimedia classroom. So if you run the software, then you will see the teacher will get some instruction in the laptop. In the projector, it will be on for the students only the activities. So this dual screen mode is it's a significant innovation in this software. So we are implementing that, and now that contents are uploaded at the DP website, so anybody can download that. So as I have only 2-3 minutes, so the challenges, we must say that the successes that actually we are developing some research reports. So hopefully very soon we'll be able to share with you the research report on the teacher-led content development that we are also doing, and government also providing laptops. So what are the differences and what are the challenges we found? So that we are going to share. But initially what we found that the teachers actually, in the keynote speech we found that the teacher's motivation is the key factor for any kind of changing the system. We found the teachers are actually using the content regularly. The classroom environment has changed. The classroom instruction has changed. Teachers are trying to use English in the classroom. And the challenges, if I say, then challenges is, one thing is, there is no substitute of teacher training. Teacher training is a must. Still, we have to work a lot on the teachers training with the Primary Training Institute, because you can give content, you can give technology, anything, but actually if the teachers don't know that whether the students are following her or not, the basic pedagogy, that's actually still a struggle. We are struggling. That is the key thing. We found that actually it should be an integrated approach, like from the Upazila Education Office, the URC instructor and the teacher SMC. It should be a combined effort to make any kind of changes. Without like each other, actually it's not possible to make any kind of, like education officers are following schools, so they need to know that actually how ICT can make difference.
Okay,
so,
great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
I think there were resonances of what Tom was talking about before, of having a substantial evidence base. And it seems that you have been doing a lot of research around this project. I thought it was also interesting as well, somebody mentioned having a model before, a model of good practice. Can we not find a model of good practice in Bangladesh? Maybe we have one here. There are, of course, learning points, but rather than looking to other countries, we evolve and develop what is here. I am not saying that. I'm making a suggestion. Is there...
There are a lot of models in Bangladesh. No one is
Well, I think what we're trying to see here, that the examples of good practices which come up in our discussion, I think my colleague was referring to that, is we learn from each other. So absolutely, very good point that we need to see the evidence, and I think Ruxana here was emphasizing that they are now trying to do studies around it, so we are more informed about it. Can I quickly touch on one thing and maybe pass on to another colleague here? Is one of the very interesting things Faruque bhai mentioned, as well as Anu bhai in the keynote speech, is turning the multimedia classrooms, teacher becomes a facilitator. And that is a huge concept, but not too far-fetched when we think about using technology to aid learning, because it's automatically creating something in the middle to be able to initiate interactive activities with the children. So it's a great aid, but the aim is quite high considering the Bangladesh context. We are not used to being in a facilitative role as teachers in the classroom. Now, to break away from that and still initiate that role, a lot of training and real content for professional development is needed. Ruxana also mentioned that we need to look at it holistically, teachers and people around teacher who help them to develop professionally. I also happen to know, as I belong to the same project, I have one colleague sitting here who are doing very similar kind of work, and maybe we can hear something from you if you'd like to share and see what we can learn from our learning.
Thank you very much. Hello again. I am from English in Action, as I have told you, and English in Action is a 9-year project. It was started in 2008 and it will continue till 17, and UKAID is funding the project through a collaboration between the two governments, UK government and Bangladesh government, and the ministry, two relevant ministries, that is Ministry of Primary and Mass Education and Ministry of Education is implementing the project. The goal of the project is to contribute to the economic growth through enhanced English language skills, and the targeted audience is 25 million Bangladeshi school students and adult learners. I refer to Mr. Chaudhury's keynote paper where he mentioned that motivated teacher is the integral part of teaching learning process. We are believe in the same way, and that is why English in Action provides a wide range of support to the teachers through a diversified ways. And one of the important part of this multidimensional process is the audio-visual or the digital contents. We are provided the teachers training through our trainers, and the head teachers, the respective education officials, the peer teachers are also involved in the process to build their capacities. We believe if a teacher is equipped fully through training, through technology, then it will increase his or her motivation, as it was mentioned in the morning in the keynote paper. So how we deal with the teachers, how we deal with the technology. We consider technology as a learning aid. We provide every teacher a mobile phone, a speaker, and a SD card where all the contents that was developed on the basis of the English EFT book, developed by the NCTB. So this curriculum was uploaded in the SD card and it was given to the teacher. This is the offline digital content, and the teacher, wherever, whenever, and however he needs any support, he or she can just click the mobile and get the support from the mobile. That is why we called our approach as a learner in the pocket. The mobile keeps with him or her, and whenever he gets the support, he gets it from there. And obviously, when we start the project in 2008, and during the course of time, after 7 years, we have some lessons learned. In the pilot phase, we provide the teachers with the iPod. But at some point, it was undoubtedly the innovation to inclusion iPod or inclusion of technology in the teaching learning process. But at some point, we identified that, particularly in the rural areas, teachers faces difficulties to maintain it and repair this. So that is why, considering these lessons learned, we customize it, we contextualize it. Now we change from iPod to a very low cost, affordable, and widely accepted mobile phone. And you know, in Bangladesh, there is a mobile phobia now. Everybody have one more mobile phone. And the teachers have also. They are very much familiar how to operate, how to play, how to pause, all these things. And during the training, we give the mobile phone to them, and we have demonstrated with them. And this is how they are very much familiar to use this mobile phone, along with the teachers, along with their refresher or follow-up meetings. And one of the impact of this initiative is, in our research, more than 90% teachers stated that it helps to increase their English. Not only that, it also helpful for them to enhance their teaching skills, how to teach in the classes. And one of the objective of this approach to make the class interactive, to make the class participatory. And this is how we are working. We piloted in a very small scale. Now we are in the upscaling phase, and we are planning to, in the next phase, it will be a nationwide program. That is why we are planning to gradually, when it was a smaller program, then it was possible to face-to-face support to the teachers.
Okay,
but
great. Thanks very, very much for that really interesting overview of the work of English in Action. I'm aware we are a little bit time-bound here. I think I have a colleague here from British Council involved in the Connecting Classrooms project. And of course, you have been using technology within this project as a way of facilitating educational initiatives. If you would like to maybe give a quick summary to the audience about the Connecting Classrooms.
This is another innovative example as well.
I don't want to scare anyone. It's a four slides presentation, not more than that.
Great.
It has 4 minutes, I have. Okay, I work in the British Council as a project manager education, and Connecting Classrooms is led by two of us, myself and Afroza Yasmin, who's sitting at the audience. And ICT Integration in Education Bangladesh, public and private initiatives. British Council has been working in education sector for a long time. The experience of myself is 5 years maybe, but more than that has British Council. What is Connecting Classrooms? What does Connecting Classroom do? Connecting Classrooms works to enrich education and promote global citizenship in partnership with government and non-government agencies of Bangladesh through policy engagement, curricula and system reform, teachers training, and international collaboration. So it is kind of, we don't like to say holistic, it's a kind of overall approach to everything. So if you say that the global citizenship, it's a nice word, it's a catchy word. My colleague Masuda was talking about it. It's a nice catchy word. This morning, our chair of the UGC, he was saying that world citizen. So this is global citizenship. I think about myself, I think about others in my community, and also think about the world. the impact I'm making here is also impacting others. So that needs to be thought through. And I need to make myself aware that wherever I go, I need to adapt with the culture and the environment there. So this is kind of developed. And Connecting Classroom, what does Connecting Classroom do? We do policy dialogue, as I said. Partnerships. Now, if I move on to one thing, is that teachers' professional development. The teachers' professional development enables us to actually bring in teachers through the Schools Online platform, which I just hit a bit earlier. We've got different courses online, free courses for the teachers, and also that platform enables teacher to engage with 180 countries worldwide. So we've got over 40,000 teachers registered on Schools Online. A teacher can get into that website, simple registration procedure. They can register, they can build their capacity, and start communicating with the international people. Ananya Chaudhary just mentioned this morning, which I was actually referring to, the learning environment, the participatory learning environment, the best practices. Are we actually learning the best practices from everybody? Yes, the man next door and the environment in Dhaka, I don't talk to talk to my neighbor. And now the globalization giving us that kind of hit or kind of urge to go for beyond our country or something. So the motivation for teachers, people were talking about motivation as well. So motivation for teachers is that I'm knowing myself, I'm knowing my neighbor, and I'm knowing my neighbor country, and I'm knowing Africa. Somebody who's from here is connecting with a school in Africa. So that capacity building is enabling them and bringing that opportunity in their fingertips to connect. Next thing I want to talk about, British Council and Microsoft's partnership is a blended course that we deliver. The blended course enables us to, the communication, there are requirements of tools, as we said, technology, right? Those requirements we have brought into our courses is the AutoCollage, Movie Maker, SkyDrive. Somebody talked about SD cards. We teach teachers how to use the SkyDrive. And the next thing is OneNote. So this enables teachers to actually start communicating and building the relationship. The next thing I want to talk about, the Teachers Portal. Our dearest Professor Faruque, sir, he was talking about it, and also Ananya Chaudhary talked about it, that we have supported the Teachers Portal. Now the initiative was taken with a vision of promoting project-based learning. We already talked about that participatory learning environment. British Council is initiating curriculum mapping in this year. This curriculum mapping will enable us to do the global citizenship embedding into the system, developing resources, which can enable teachers to achieve the learning or teach, we call it learning outcomes. So achieve the learning outcomes through the students by making them doing something. So participatory thing, making students to think deeper, increase their understanding on their subject, and also link those or communicate those with the other part of with the schools of other part, like UK or maybe Africa or wherever they want to connect with. So this is another opportunity. Finally, I just want to mention that the challenges already talked about, these are the similar challenges we have. I don't want to talk about challenges. The final thing I want to talk about, one story about one madrasa principal. His name is Mohiul Haq, who has become the Microsoft educator in Bangladesh, first time ever. And he was the vice principal when he was introduced to Connecting Classrooms. He started to work. He received training on leadership. He received training on how to link with the UK, and a bit of ICT training, which we used to deliver, which now we have started with the help of Microsoft. So he started to communicate. Then he became the ambassador of the cluster, or you can say cluster leader. He became the mentor. He also introduced sports in madrasa. It's a co-educational madrasa anyways. Girls and boys both are studying in that madrasa. So it's an exemplary thing that sports been introduced in madrasa of Chittagong. Another point is that he has introduced music. He said we don't do wide music, open music in an open field, but we do music classes in a madrasa. That's the inspiration. The challenge that they faced was the parents. They were talking about, okay, you have UK partner, you have people who are from other religion coming to the madrasa. How do you allow that? You're a Muslim. How can you allow that? Then they organized kind of festivals or something, and they invited their parents, including their children, and they found out that this is very effective and that can be embraced as a best practice into that madrasa. Now that madrasa is one of the exemplary madrasa for us. This is not the only one. There are others as well. Now how they communicate, they use email, they use Skype, they use the video conference. Other teacher from other part of the world taking classes in madrasa. Other teacher from other part of the world taking class in Thakurgaon. One of the teacher, we call him Jyotish Roy, right?
Okay, great, thank you. A very inspirational story there, I think. Thanks. If you'd just like to sit down there, I think it would be appropriate now for, we've listened to a whole range of initiatives, projects, different perspectives. Do you have any questions from the audience? Yeah, lots. Right. So, would you like to?
Is it a microphone? Or am I loud enough?
You're loud enough.
Yeah.
Can you hear at the back?
Nilam worked for English in Action project as deputy team leader. My question is basically to Professor Faruque and Mr. Abul, Kalam, Azad. There are many things happening related to ICT in education in primary and secondary. But one thing is not yet existing, that is coordination and integration from the ministry or from the central level. Because our teachers are basically kind of less empowered group of people in our primary. So in one sense, DB is delivering their training on subject-based training, TCO is doing for secondary, NCTB is producing textbooks and giving curriculum orientation or textbook orientation, and other projects and organizations are doing also these things. But at the school level, teachers get confused what to do when, how to compile, how to integrate these things. Is there any plan from the government, particularly you both are representative from Prime Minister's office and from Ministry of Education, to coordinate, to kind of start a coordination process or harmonize all these things together in one hub?
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Yes, sure. Yes, of course there is a coordination in Ministry of Education, always trying, and they are sitting with especially on ICT in education. They are talking with us, especially at UI, how to coordinate all the efforts and all the intervention of ICT intervention. Ministry of Education and our Honorable Minister, he is also very interested, a coordinated effort to go on Apollo ICT in education. But I can't say Apollo. I don't know about English in action activities. So far I know, Ministry of Education invited Apollo Ministry of ICT, English in action people to how it can be coordinated in a good manner. So there is a coordination. Of course, there is a coordination. And from A2I, we are giving also. From A2I, we are in catalytic role, and how ICT in education can be integrated in classroom practice, especially on classroom practice, and how we can enhance the professional skills of the teachers. This is the great challenge. Ministry of Education needs quality education, but without professional development of the teachers, it is not possible. It is not possible. So teacher-led content development, the main focus on teacher-led content development only to enhance the teacher's professional development. Thank you.
Can I?
Yes.
Actually, what coordination is being accomplished through, Ministry of Education, it is something beyond secondary and upward. But I am concerned on primary, and you know that primary education system is one of the largest education systems in the world. As long as we are concerned with dealing with 20 million, more than 20 million children, and dealing about 450,000 numbers of teachers, and more than 54% are female teachers. So the concerted effort on ICT, especially emphasizing on quality, is to be ensured. Otherwise, haphazardly, implementing I mean, such, type of, activities on ICT will not, be possible to augment or improve the quality of primary education, which is a daunting challenge, especially for primary education development program 3.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Sir, probably you have seen it. We have a ICT in education master plan. And last week, we revised it again. And we not invited, but we sent a template how they are most probably DNAP and DP, 34 activities identified. They identified all these things, and they revised it, how it can be implemented in a short-term, mid-term, and long-term process. And it is going on under the supervision and coordinated by Abul, Minister of Education.
Okay. Thank you.
There is a ICT education master plan, and they suggested how they can implement all the things, all the activities in a coordinated manner.
I think this is an absolutely crucial point in terms of implementation and large-scale implementation, of course, coordination. I'd just be interested in other panel members' view on this. There is no doubt that the government has a very strong political will and commitment to this. What about in terms of the kind of policies you feel would be beneficial to put in place to help you in your initiatives? I think you...
Can I go?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Quick thing. Thank you. We have one already. Okay. I know we talk a lot about outcomes and effectiveness, right? To be frank, the way I look at it, everything that A2I is doing, everything that Save the Children is doing, or we are doing, right? I believe we are at a very early stage. It's all, to me, are all pilot. And we have to wait and see how it works. Because in a country like Bangladesh, where you have serious challenges with teacher awareness, teacher quality, Mr. Azad said infrastructure challenges, keeping things up, I believe the outcome should be more focused on usage initially. Are they even using the computer that we are giving them, right? So the way what we notice from our experience, and this is because, and the difference in what we are doing compared to what a government or an NGO would be doing. We deal with private schools and some with government schools as well. And a lot depends upon the schools where we're providing the solution to or who have acquired it, number one. And a lot depends upon the administration as well. So as Mr. Azad said, you may go in and provide hardware or even software solution to a school, right? But there's no guarantee that they're going to make use of it. Number two, the teachers who you're giving to, and what we have also seen as well, sometimes their own subject knowledge of a particular area is also questionable, right? So suppose, for example, if I'm a science teacher and I'm in grade 5, if my knowledge of grade 5 science itself not up to par, giving me technology-supported tools may not help a great deal. So we see these challenges, right? So when you talk about outcome, eventually, all these things matter. Meaning matters how the teacher is well-equipped. Number one, are they being trained properly? Are they knowledgeable? Are they being supported regularly? And training has to be consistent. It cannot be a situation where I trained you on day one, then I go home, and I'm not coming back and providing you more support later, right? So what we have seen eventually is in terms of really looking at solution that needs to be delivered well, and to see outcome has to be consistent. So we look at purely usage initially. Are they even using it? And then keep supporting them to make better use of it.
I think a point that's coming over very clearly is that we have to look at this as a coordinated package. Absolutely. You can't just be introducing technology without the associated teacher training, etc. Maybe that is something we need to think about in terms of the budgeting that are given for programs.
Yeah. Can I just come in as well with a comment? You said definitely, but you also pointed out that the use has to be according to the need for the teacher, and subject knowledge is one of them, as well as pedagogical knowledge. Many people talked about that.
Right.
And I see in here, from all the comments, there are opportunities to connect the dots even on this floor. Starting from, we do know that our respected advisors there who work on the PDP3 program on that table. I do know, for example, NCTB has planned and is planning to introduce digital materials with the curriculum. And the national curriculum has to provide a reference point for everything. That's also important for all the other initiatives. I also do know the training program in the primary who works with 64,000 schools, on nearly 400,000 teachers. They are also planning to embed digital content into the training program. I see opportunities like English in Action is a discrete project under the PDP3 5-year program. And this is supposed to cover ultimately 65,000 teachers. We are working very closely with the government to initiate the use of these audiovisual materials who a lot of the teachers who are also in the audience have many times mentioned, and also the study results showed that how much it has benefited their practice. But it needs to be concerted, it needs to be holistic, it needs to be the support structure around the teacher, needs to be by the head teacher, by the education officer, like Save the Children is doing. Raihan Bhai mentioned that you are doing quite a lot of work at the community level. DNET is doing that, and that support structure needs to be completely concerted altogether.
Can I take a cue from what you're saying? And,
yes, please.
Mr. Azad mentioned also. One thing actually from the private sector view, I would like to say that like DNET started Smart Classroom Initiative, which is actually multimedia classroom, almost same thing. The difference is that we use television and the program uses multimedia projector. Another difference is we provide prepared content, and the approach here is the teacher develop content for their own. The problem is here, or the opportunity I would say, that when you have 20,500 schools with multimedia classrooms, how do you ensure that it is being used? And this question has been raised by many of us, and we experience also on the ground. So here comes the role of collaboration. Like for us, it doesn't make any sense to establish new smart classroom or multimedia classrooms. We have been doing it, we stopped it actually. Because as the government is investing, that's the right way to do. Because only government can expand it, not organizations like ours. So what is our competitive advantage? Our competitive advantage, we bring innovation on board continuously. Then we do monitoring. We have monitoring system, IT-based monitoring system where you can you see the performance of the schools or teachers and students on the dashboard, which can be used for all schools. Then helpline, then training, quality assurance, and the technology support, so that each hardware works for each day. It's not broken and nobody takes care of that. So those kind of mechanism and systems are already there. So as Dr. Sharmistha was telling that how to connect the dots. So probably that is the way forward, and probably this conference will try to connect the dots and I see also that there are many duplications of efforts in content development and international schools, and that's why he was raising the question how to coordinate it. So it's actually call of the day, and we need to sit immediately so that we do not waste our resources.
Maybe it's, you were mentioning earlier stages, it's inevitable to a degree that we have some duplication, but we need to strive for that better coordinated efforts. I think you were making a point.
To add something.
Yeah. Sorry, I think you were, if you would like to again, then we'll do.
Definitely coordination is needed and it's essential, but one thing is what from Save the Children we found that government is very open. Like for us, for Save the Children, we think that we are also part of access to information. That much support actually we get from them and the DP. But I would like to mention that actually from Save the Children, we have taken an initiative. Save the Children took the initiative, but actually we are working with government, like Access to Information and DP, Bangladesh Computer Council, ICT division, and also here, I think all the organizations are in that initiative. Like we are working with Core Knowledge, DNet, British Council English in Action. We have had a consultant that he is actually making a report. It's like ICT in education mapping or ICT in education stocking. So we have already had 2 meetings. Initially, we gave all our organization profile and what we are doing. So he is compiling, and based on that, actually, he will make an analysis that what are the supports, what kind of coordination is needed, and which organization is doing what. So hopefully we'll get that report by end of or beginning of October or just after Eid, and we'll be ready to share with you all.
Great. It seems that strong linkings with both INGOs, NGOs, and the government, private sector, and the government, this is essential to get the momentum going. I think you were going to make a point.
Yeah, I want to add something that Minister of Education, in fact, arranged several meetings to coordinate many things, especially development of digital contents. And DNet, English in Action, some other NGOs, they sat together. A2I representative was there, TQI2, and other projects, people were there. And one message government delivered to everybody that we need to avoid overlapping and repetition. And we see that in the name of digital content, sometimes we think that PowerPoint presentation and digital content, same thing, but not actually. Just PowerPoint presentation and digital content presentation, not same. When we talk about digital content presentation, then we must think that there must have integration of pedagogy, assessment, evaluation, content, and other, reporting, etc. should be embedded in digital content presentation. But when we, another message Ministry of Education passes to other agencies, NGOs, that when we talk about digital content, most time we see that multimedia-based lecture method. We see that when we visited schools and when we check other contents developed by other NGOs or other projects, we see that teachers just briefing or explaining the digital content. Students are silent, they are not active. But we don't want multimedia-based lecture methods. We want multimedia-based interactive class, participatory class. And such type of messages several times government gave to NGOs, other projects. And so far I know that A2I, when A2I sit with other project or other private organization, we are passing on same message.
Okay, that's great, thank you. I know that there are some more questions from the audience. We'll quickly take some before lunch. I know you, madam, have been putting your hand up.
Here is a
I want to draw attention of the British Council who have arranged this sessions. I think this is a very good approach and good initiatives. It should be appreciated. But here I am looking that the people are present here from NGOs and from Directorate of Higher Education. There is no representative of primary directorate. Yeah. This should not be like that, because primary directorate already been introduced ICT in education project, implemented ICT program in all over the country. They have developed research development program incorporating technology, ICT approaches there. All PTI has been equipped with ICT materials. These are developing content and delivering in classes.
Okay, excuse me, if I just stop you there. I think the point you make is absolutely fair. Of course, because we just have a relatively limited amount of time, we have to limit the focus somewhat. There could be an opportunity in the future to investigate this, but I think it would be great just now if we can take advantage of the expertise and the experience we have
Faruque
here.
knows what primary director has done. They should be represented properly here.
We agree.
This is my, unless the initiative we have taken, this should be appreciated. But we have enjoyed very much.
Great.
And Professor Faruque knows what primary director has done. He was there.
Yes.
That they should be represented here.
Good point, good point. Could we have a, thank you very much. Yeah, could we just have a question from the lady here? Yeah, after,
I have one question for Faruque Bhai. Did you do any comparison study, like the schools, among the schools who received the ICT intervention and who did not yet? So don't you think that there will be a big gapping, the children who received it first and the children who are not receiving it like later on? So it's my first question, what is your perception? And I do have another question for Ananya Raihan. So when you go to the rural level women and you talk about the women empowerment and especially like trying to make them entrepreneurs and relating, doing some business. So you said that are you using the ICT devices or you are teaching them how to use the ICT technology and devices?
Yes. My question, we already did an impact study, third-party impact study. Within a short time, it will be published. So in that case, you can understand. And we have chosen multimedia intervention and control group, where there is no any of the multimedia classroom. There is a comparative study, and the result is very good. Of course, within a short time, we will publish about this impact study. And we also, again, we are trying to get baseline survey on MMC multimedia classroom, and it is going on. And within a short time, the team will go, and it is also a third party baseline survey.
Thank you.
Yes, you will get impact study report.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I would like to add to Professor Faruque's response that we did one study with Institute of Education and Research funded by British Council. So it's an independent study where you see that average effect size is more than 0.5, as similar to representation made by Thomas in the morning. Use of smart classroom, and I mean both, it's an RCT study, so it will be published very soon. In terms of the uses of technology by the women in the rural area, so actually it's a long process. We first try to identify women in the village who have some level of education, up to 10 or 12, who does not have any employment. And then we try to identify whether they are entrepreneurial in mindset. Then we stay with them for at least 6 months, and step by step we provide them training, and we provide them equipment, and they use the equipment for providing services at the doorstep. And they also receive bank financing when they have their own no financial support. So we can discuss on the sideline for the time shortage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, the smell of lunch is getting ever stronger over here. I think it's a good signal. So I'd just like to thank all of the participants, the panelists here, for giving us your time, your experience, your expertise. I'm sure you'll agree, it's been very enlightening for us all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.